So the album title came about because I feel like I am kind of most creative at nighttime. I just feel like when the sun goes down, I'm like, ugh, emotions. So I recorded a lot of it at nighttime. I wrote a lot of it at nighttime. I want the album to be something that people listen to when they're letting their guard down. And I feel like that happens a lot more at nighttime as well. Um, I'm really interested in the idea because so much of it was recorded in my bedroom, in 3 different bedrooms of mine. And I'm really interested in the idea of like communicating bedroom to bedroom. So, like, my ideal listener is like somebody sitting in their bedroom at nighttime, who is letting themselves think about their own experiences or things they've been through, and in any way, like, connecting with what I put out with the music.
Is there a particular sound for each bedroom, or like, can you identify which ones?
Yeah, I actually don't have. This is the thing, because I was thinking about my songwriting recently, and when you write something over such a long period of time, usually you're able to hear like a progression in somebody's style, maybe. But the songs that maybe sound the most different to each other were actually maybe written like the closest together. I think that I more write from the mood or experience I'm in, as opposed to having like longer term changes in my sound. But the way that I record is generally while I'm writing. So I don't really demo songs and then like go to a studio and record an album. The way a lot of people like will block out like 2 weeks in a studio or something like that and be like, okay, here's all the demos, now we're going to go. My way of writing and recording is a lot more like scrapbooking, where there's recordings that happened exactly at the time that I wrote the song. And I could re-record them if I wanted to. Like some of the, like I listen back and sometimes I'm like, damn, you missed that note. But it's more important to me that it's of the time rather than having it sound like I'm playing guitar perfectly or singing perfectly. I think there's a lot of, to me, there's a lot of power in women not singing how maybe society wants them to sing. I'm not a singer. I only sing because I don't have anybody else to sing. I'm okay with my voice now, but it's been a whole journey of me like making friends with my voice. Like when I was in secondary school, I remember doing choir and the teacher like telling me to mime. It's still something that I have like a love-hate relationship with, but but I have to embrace it and I have to like it because it is honest. And the whole thing that I'm trying to do with Fears is to do with honesty and vulnerability and intimacy. And I think that it would be going against all of that if I were to like sit there and like whack the auto tune on 100.
Do you have influences that you listened to at the time that inspired it, or is it just kind of like what you were saying earlier about like this is what you felt and this is how you made the song then?
I think a lot of it is more to do with what I felt at the time. I mean, I am quite interested in electronic music anyway. I would probably to me when I'm writing stuff, I really like making contrast between stuff. So I like having kind of maybe quite washy guitar or something like that going on, and then like a very harsh kind of cold sounding beat almost. To me, that's really interesting to have going against each other, because it almost like it almost kind of depicts like the conversations that I might have in my head about a situation as well. Like I very much, I think that most people have, you have like your thinking brain and your feeling brain. And to me, a lot of the time, like the beat in the song will like represent my thinking brain, where it's like, well, actually, you're going to be fine. It's like this steady, consistent thing. And then my feeling brain is like a lot of the more melodic stuff that goes around it. I mean, it sounds maybe a bit dickheadish, but rather than being inspired by musicians necessarily, I find myself being more inspired by people I know and people around me. I'm really inspired by my family and my friends, not just musically, but like their takes on things, or if I am talking to them about a situation, like the way that they then reflect it back on me, I find really inspiring a lot of the time. I'm definitely a person that needs to like talk things out. Like I just will go on a loop in my own head if I don't talk about things. So I'm very lucky that I have, you know, really good friends and family who will put up with me just like talking on loop about something that happened for like 3 weeks straight. I think that's also why a lot of my songs have this kind of looping structure or like repetitive nature, because I have to sit with things for a while before I process them and move on. And I guess the songs like sonically sound like that. Like you sit with the music, while the lyrics are changing and stuff. You sit with the same music sometimes for the 3 minutes of the song.
You're busy. You're a busy gal. Like you
I am
started
busy.
Tool as well.
Yeah, so I founded Tool last summer, and founding like a record label is something that I'd wanted to do for a long time. It's a label representing and supporting and working with underrepresented voices in music. You know, it is predominantly women led, and that it's the plan is to kind of continue it being not run by straight cis men. I had a lot of conversations with myself being like, you don't know enough people, you don't know what you're doing enough, I mean, you've got no money. I kept talking myself out of it basically. And then I've been working in music in London for like 2 years now, and I've worked at a number of different labels and they're all great, like, but I ended up meeting amazing women at these labels who I just had a really interesting way of thinking about things. It made me think about my album and the way that I want to put my album out. And with a lot of the subject matter of my album, I felt most comfortable releasing it with a label that was like run and owned by majority women. The problem is that there's actually not that many labels like that, operating at the level that I would be wanting to do. I guess I kind of was feeling like I've sat with this album for like almost 6 years now, and if I put it out, I would actually like people to hear it. And I wanted to be quite like a considered album campaign. Like I'm not expecting to be like Grammy nominated or anything, but I would be hoping that you know, each part of the album campaign would be something that I would have kind of creative control over, I guess. I did a little bit of recording last summer with my friend Katie O'Neill, who has worked at a number of labels here, and she is the only person that I worked with in terms of recording the album. She's the only person I let into the recording process, and we did some vocal recording for 2 of the songs on the record. And I was talking to her about the whole situation, and she was just like, I think you should put it out yourself. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. And she was like, no, but you actually do, though. You know how to do that. And I was like, I don't know how to do. I'm just a girl. I don't know. Who am I? I'm not from London. I don't know these things. And she was like, Connie, you absolutely know how to do this. Will you just do it? I had talked to my friend Emily Kendrick about the idea, and she's one of those just amazing women that I had met while over here, and she was like, I mean, I'll just do it with you. I was like, what? Oh my god, somebody actually wants to do this thing with me? This is insane. And I think that kind of gave me the kick up the ass as well that I needed to actually go out and start talking to people about stuff. Finding other companies that actually wanted to work with us and stuff was again just like this another boost. I mean, I like lost my mind when we got the distribution deal, because I just was like, what in the hell? Like, my records are going to be in shops in America. Like, what is that about? That's crazy to me. Like, I'm at home and I don't have a job right now. Like, so that just felt insane. And then, you know, finding the right PR and stuff was also really important. I only wanted to work with women PRs for my campaign. I felt like they would understand the music more. And I think that, you know, the PR you get is a really important thing, because they're the ones that are going to actually be talking to journalists and the media and stuff about what you're doing, and kind of they're the go-between. They're translating what you've made. To be able to talk about it all is honestly amazing. It's like, I feel so excited. I feel so excited about this. Yeah, I can't wait. And then like we got this thing called a Dinked Edition, which is like a collective of like some of the biggest indie retailers across the UK. You make like a limited edition version of the record for them, and like our distributor put us forward for that, and they wanted it. It's turned into this like really lovely network that we have, who are really into it. And I guess for me, as both the like label head and the artist, I have experienced a surprising amount of support. We want it to be this network, you know. I mean, the whole idea behind the name for me is that Tool is this fabric that's made up of all these tiny little connections, and it builds something that's really big and that takes up so loads of space. So that's how I want this thing to go. I want us to be throwing parties, hopefully this time next year. I want us to be putting on festivals. I want us to be putting on gigs. I want us to have a million radio shows. Like I just basically want to be able to create a space that I would love to go to.
Was talking about imposter syndrome to my friends
Yeah.
today, and
Oh,
about
big on
like,
that.
I think like, you know, what you're saying about, you know, you wanted to start this thing and then you're thinking, oh God, like I don't know what I'm doing, or I think like that just comes with like being a woman. It's like you're never like
Absolutely.
men are like born with this and then raised in a culture that's like you can do anything you want to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing holding you back. Like you want to start a podcast, you start that podcast,
Oh
you
my
know, like,
God.
you know, it's like,
Absolutely. That's why
whereas
there's so many
women, it's
podcasts.
always, it's like, oh yeah, I'm good enough for that, but like no one's gonna listen to it and it's pointless and I might as
This
well
is
just
the
not
thing.
do it. I feel like you have to reach out to so many people to try and get something you can do yourself. And
Completely.
it's
And I think that, you know, this whole campaign so far has just like been very good for me. And I mean, the album's not even out yet, but it's just been really good for me to kind of find this supportive network
mm,
where at this point I'm like, however many records sell, they sell, that's fine. But the most important thing right now for me is that I'm actually enjoying the experience. I think as well also like when you're doing it knowing that these things are actually hard to do but not letting that discourage you. I don't want to talk about Tool and the support that it's gotten so far and be like everything is like miraculously working out, like how
mm-hmm,
crazy, because like I contact so many people, like I send so many emails and I maybe get like out of 10 emails maybe I get like one reply. Like it is really hard and it can be incredibly demoralizing at times. um it's just that now I'm in a position where I know that the 1 out of 10 people that replied really understands what I'm doing, and that's completely worth the 9 non-replied to emails. But like I've applied for so much funding over the years that I've been rejected for. I've applied to play so many festivals I've gotten rejected for. Like it's been it's been like very much like just swings and roundabouts. You just don't get some things work out. The most important thing is that you just keep trying. In my head anyway, I think, you know, it can be really crap when you get a rejection email, or I think worse than anything is when you don't even get an email back at all. Um and then you feel super awkward and you're like, do I send a follow-up email? Like,
mm-hmm,
oh my God, follow-up emails. I don't even care about follow-up emails anymore. Gotten to a point where I'm just like, I know what I want to do. I know why I want to do it. If you want to jump on board with this, great. I also understand that, like, you know, people are busy and people miss things. Like, I miss things sometimes. So,
mm-hmm.
not to be all capitalistic about it, but like, it is a business. I mean, like, the costs have to kind of cover itself because there's no way that, like, my day job is going to pay for an entire label as well, you know? I think that just having the attitude of being like, well, that person didn't reply, so I'm just going to email another person. That's the only way that I've been able to set it up how I've been able to do so far.